Do you ever feel like your soul is being torn apart? Not by darkness, but by an unbearable light? Like something fundamental within you is dying. And yet, paradoxically, for the first time in your life, you're finally waking up? No one talks about this raw, brutal part of the journey. The nights where tears stream down your face, but you don't even know why. The days where nothing feels real. Where the world seems to blur around you. The emptiness, the searing anger, the dizzying confusion. They tell you that spiritual awakening is peaceful, that it's all love and light and effortlessly high vibes. But the truth? The truth is it breaks you first. And if you're going through this right now, if you're losing friends you thought were forever, if you're questioning every belief you've ever held, or if you simply feel like you're slowly, irrevocably going insane, you are not broken. You are simply awakening. This is the part no one warned you about. This isn't the sanitized, marketable version of awakening you see plastered across social media. This is the raw, unflinching kind. The kind Carl Jung, the brilliant architect of analytical psychology, understood so profoundly. Jung wasn't just talking about individual neuroses. He was speaking of the collective human soul's journey towards wholeness. He called it individuation, the lifelong process of becoming your authentic self, of integrating all the disparate parts of your psyche. And central to this challenging journey is confronting the shadow self. The shadow isn't some evil entity lurking in the dark. It's the unconscious repository of everything we've rejected, denied or suppressed within ourselves. The uncomfortable emotions, the unacceptable desires, the parts of us deemed too weak, too messy, or simply too much for the world to handle. In modern American culture, we are masters of this suppression. From the moment we're born, we're subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, conditioned to prioritize performance over presence, achievement over authenticity. Think of the high-functioning families where success was the currency of love, where don't cause a fuss or just be happy became unspoken mantras, where emotional neglect wasn't a visible bruise, but a slow, invisible starvation of the inner child. We learned to mask our trauma with ambition, to chase external validation because internal validation felt impossible, unknown. We learned to build towering personas, the good student, the perfect athlete, the successful entrepreneur, all while a vulnerable, terrified inner child screamed in the dungeon of our unconscious, desperate for connection and recognition. This constant suppression isn't sustainable. Our psyche, our soul, is designed for wholeness, for integration. When we deny vast portions of ourselves, those denied parts don't simply vanish. They go underground, forming powerful, unconscious drives that dictate our behavior, our choices often without our awareness. This is the insidious mechanism behind so many modern American struggles. Take toxic productivity. We chase success with a frantic energy, mistaking busyness for purpose. But beneath the grind, there's often a desperate fear of stopping, a terror of being alone with ourselves, of confronting the emptiness that might surface. We are perpetually doing because being feels too dangerous. Or consider social media trauma. We curate perfect lives, meticulously editing out the mess, the doubt, the vulnerability. We present an idealized self, and then wonder why we feel so chronically lonely, so fundamentally misunderstood. Because the you everyone sees isn't actually you. It's a performance. Even therapy culture, while offering immense benefit, can sometimes become another escape. We talk about our problems, intellectualize our trauma, but truly feeling it, truly integrating it is often avoided. We want the quick fix, the diagnostic label, the roadmap to healed, without the terrifying journey through the emotional wilderness. But the unconscious demands attention. It communicates through dreams, through anxieties, through inexplicable physical ailments, through relationship patterns that repeat like a broken record. And when we ignore these whispers long enough, they turn into screams. This is where the break begins. The dam holding back the repressed emotions, the unacknowledged trauma starts to crack. This inner fracturing isn't some abstract concept. It manifests as profound, undeniable pain in your everyday life. Maybe you find yourself trapped in cycles of chronic loneliness. Despite being surrounded by people, you crave deep connection, but every attempt feels superficial, leaving you more isolated than before. You might push away genuine intimacy, because the thought of truly being seen, truly being known feels like standing naked in a blizzard. Or perhaps it's the emotional whiplash, sudden, explosive anger that erupts seemingly out of nowhere, leaving you bewildered and ashamed, or inexplicable waves of sadness that wash over you, a grief for something you can't name. You might find yourself addicted to chaos, unconsciously recreating familiar patterns of conflict or instability, because the familiar pain, however destructive, feels safer than the terrifying unknown of peace. This isn't just about feeling bad. It's about a deep, structural instability in your sense of self. The relentless pressure to appear healed, or high vibe in our culture, only exacerbates this. We see others' curated perfection and feel like failures if our own journey isn't a straight line of blissful progress. This leads to a profound identity confusion. Who are you? Truly, beneath all the roles you play, the expectations you carry, the pain you've buried, the shame of feeling broken, of not living up to the idealized self, can be utterly paralyzing, driving you deeper into isolation, further into the numb embrace of avoidance. You might even find yourself repeating old wounds, not out of weakness, but because your unconscious is desperately trying to bring those unresolved issues to the surface, demanding your attention. Sometimes, in the quiet hours of the night, when the city lights twinkle like distant, unreachable stars, I find myself tracing the outline of old scars. Not physical ones, but the phantom pains of childhood silence, the echoes of words left unsaid, the sting of being unseen in plain sight. How much of my life, I wonder, have I spent building an elaborate fortress around a trembling heart, brick by careful brick, constructing a self that could withstand the world, that could perform, that could be enough, and all the while the true self, the messy, vulnerable, utterly human self, was locked away in the darkest corner, pleading for air. We convince ourselves that ignoring the wound makes it disappear, but the body keeps the score. The soul remembers, and eventually, those denied parts start rattling the cage, desperate for release. That profound discomfort, that overwhelming emptiness. It's not a malfunction. It's the sound of the locks breaking, the sound of a long-imprisoned truth finally demanding its freedom. And in that terrifying liberation, we realize the greatest prison wasn't built by others but by ourselves. This breakdown, this profound discomfort, this feeling of being utterly undone, it is not a sign of failure. It is the raw, terrifying, yet utterly necessary prerequisite for genuine healing. It is the universe, your higher self, finally saying, the old script is over. It's time for the real story to begin. This is the controlled demolition of the false self, making space for something authentic, something deeply rooted to finally emerge. Jung understood that true awakening isn't about escaping your pain. It's about courageously turning towards it. It's about dismantling the performative identity, acknowledging the hidden wounds, and allowing those suppressed emotions to finally flow. It's about tending to that neglected inner child, offering it the unconditional love and acceptance it never received. It's messy. It's terrifying. It will ask you to feel things you've spent a lifetime avoiding. But on the other side of that demolition lies a profound sense of peace. Not the superficial peace of avoidance, but the deep abiding peace of authenticity. This is the individuation journey. It's recognizing that the very things you've tried to bury, the parts you deem ugly or unacceptable, hold the keys to your deepest wisdom, your most profound compassion, and your most authentic power. The cracks in your carefully constructed facade, they are not weaknesses. They are where the light gets in. They are the pathways for true integration. You are not broken beyond repair. You are simply being remembered, piece by agonizing piece, into the magnificent, whole being you were always meant to be. So if you're standing in the wreckage of your old self, feeling utterly lost, understand this. You are not falling apart. You are becoming. The darkness you're navigating is not a dead end, but a necessary passage. It is the crucible where true transformation takes place, where the old self is transmuted into something stronger, truer, more resilient. It takes immense courage to walk this path, to allow yourself to be broken open, to confront the shadows you've carefully hidden. But on the other side of that terrifying unraveling lies not just healing, but wholeness. A profound understanding of who you are, beyond the roles, beyond the expectations, beyond the pain. Scarred, yes, but undeniably, powerfully real. This is the spiritual awakening that breaks you, so that you can finally heal, not into what you were, but into who you were always destined to be. If this resonated, if you feel this silent tremor within you, consider joining our journey. subscribe to Esoteric Nexus for more explorations into the profound depths of spiritual psychology and the path to authentic healing. The journey within is the greatest adventure you will ever embark on.